Okay. Let me see. All right. Can anyone hear me?
No.
Okay, it's really slow. Let me see. What can I do so I can hear people? Okay. Hi, this is Lalita. All right. Can anyone hear me? Yeah, this is Lalita. Okay, let me try going in here, see if this works. It's really slow. What can I do so I can hear people? Okay. Perfect. Okay. Okay, what I'm trying to do right now is set up the questions and answers section so we can talk a little bit better together here. Let me see what I need to do that. So bear with me as I set this piece of it up. Broadcasting, an item from the web, show item. What I'm trying to do is set up the questions and answers, because this is being a little vexing here. Let me see. Just a second here. Invite Eric. All right, I see there's a request to invite Eric. Let me do that right now. And his is THOMPS210 at gmail.com, I believe. Okay, let's see how that works. All right, so I just sent an invitation to Eric. Eric, you should have one from before where I set this up. And what I'm looking for is a questions and answers. Hold on a second. I see that there are 2 viewers. There we go. Okay, I see that email. Okay, hold on a second. Let me do that. I'm just sending that invitation off to Eric at Thompson 93. Okay. So let's see. I was hoping that there was going to be a way that you all could ask me questions live. I think what you're going to be able to do with this is, I thought it had a structure so that we could all talk, and I don't see that in here. Okay, there's a group chat. All right. So what you all can do, I'm going to talk a little bit as we're getting this thing started here and just review some of the stuff that we've talked about before. And then in the group chat section over here, you can post questions. And then I'll read the questions back and answer those questions for you. The other thing that we can do, if you all want to, is I have a conference call Bridgeline, and you can we can all sign on through the Bridgeline as well, or one person can sign on through the Bridgeline, and at the controls at your meeting, and then we can all hear each other a little bit better. You can put a phone on speaker, and then you can hear me, and I can hear you. That's what I'm really looking for. And then the people who are calling in can just sign on the conference call Bridgeline as well. Do you want to try that? Hold on a second. Let me get you the conference call Bridgeline number, because that's the thing about us boilers. We are very, very crafty. Okay, there we go. Here I am. Okay, so what I've got is the conference call Bridgeline is set up. So particularly for those of you who are not in, that are not in the room with the rest of the folks at the meeting, you can sign on to the Bridgeline, and then I can actually hear you and we can talk a little bit like that. Okay. And then for those of you that are in the meeting room, then we can do this by the group chat that's set up in the Google Hangout, and or you can pass a phone around. You can ask me questions. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and get started because we're not going to let the technology get in the way. What I talked about, actually it's like 2 minutes till, but yeah, we're going to go ahead and start. What I talked about last time we were together is a couple of things that I wanted you to get your hands around. One is, what is networking, which is mostly not you handing a business card to somebody or resume and saying, please, oh please God, give me a job. what it is a way that you can manage 2 or 3 big key networks to make sure that you have your the people that you need to give you information, the people that you need to give you referrals, like do some direct work on your behalf, and the people that you need to provide you with support. So as we're looking at this, does anybody have any questions, or what questions do you have about those 3 different kinds of networks? Like, what have you been thinking about in the last couple of weeks since we've talked? Would you post your questions in the chat area? And if you look in the group chat area, I'm going to be posting things in there as well. For some of the folks that I talked with between the last meeting and this meeting, what I did was I posted, and I think I did this for Eric, posted names of books and websites that I wanted him to go to and things that I wanted him to do to make sure that he really understood how this stuff all worked. Checking to see if anybody signed up. Is anyone there? Not yet. Okay. So, questions about the different kinds of networks that you can have. I don't see anything. All right. Okay, so there was one conversation that I had, I think it was with Eric, about information networks, and a problem that I think that students have when it comes, and I see this with a lot of people, about how to answer questions about how much money you want to make or where my job is and things like that. What he and I did is we went through the salary.com, and I showed him how to figure out from that bell curve distribution of salaries for a particular job for a particular area code. Hello? For a particular zip code, how much he should be able to ask for. And if you take a look at salary.com, this is a bit of information from that network. If you take a look at salary.com and you put in like a specific job title like research analyst in Chicago, which let's think downtown is like 60602 or 60604, then it'll tell you for every person who has that job description anywhere, how much you might be able to expect in a broad distribution of people from all kinds of industries who have that particular job. So that he could answer the question, like if somebody asks, how much money do you want, right? That you could actually get an answer to that question, give an answer to that question that made sense and was based on some data. So what I suggested to him, and I suggest to all of you as part of that information network piece, is to get really good at salary.com and at ONET, so that you really know how that thing really does work. If you don't, it can be a little bit problematic for you. Let me see if I can actually, it would really be helpful if I could figure out how to do a screen share. Ooh, let's see. Firefox, start screen share. Okay, maybe not. Stop screen share. Okay, that didn't work. All right, let's just quit that. But what it does with salary.com is it helps you answer some information kinds of questions. What I've talked with a couple of people about that I'm starting to notice is a trend when it comes to your ability to ask really good questions as you're doing your networking and finding out, how is it I can give people the kind of information that they need to be able to help me. Is you're not quite sure about what the jobs are that you want to go for. You're not quite sure about the industry that you want to go for, and you're not quite sure about how you want to contribute in an organization. It's an easy way to start thinking about that, because I notice probably more with people from liberal arts than I do with engineers and computer scientists and all those other folks, that that what I want to do is really pretty simple and pretty straightforward. Where I want to do it is pretty simple and pretty straightforward in most cases. And what industry sometimes is actually dictated by the degree that you have. Like engineers, if you're an electrical engineer, there's only going to be like a limited type. It's going to be in technology as opposed to in whatever. So you have to think a little bit differently, a little bit more laterally in liberal arts about what kinds of things that you may want to be able to do and how you want to do it. Like I think, I'm trying to go back to my notes with Eric, see if I can tell on him a little bit. Eric, is it okay if I talk a little bit about the meeting that we had? Can you say yes or no in the chat area? No, I don't see that you've answered my question. Let me do a quick thing here. I'm going to check in with Lori really quickly, just to make sure. Oh, okay. Thank you, Eric. Okay. So here's the thing. And just so you know, alums, we keep track of the kind of conversations that we have with you folks so that we can refer to them later. Now, what Eric was talking about was PR, professional writing, political science was what he was getting his degree in. He's interested in historical fiction. So the things that we were talking about were like a challenge that he had from some of the people he was talking to was people saying to him, pick one thing or the other. And we don't, the kind of folks that are telling you to pick one thing or the other, folks that are my generation, where our careers were pretty much either or back in the 80s and the 90s when we graduated. Now it's not either or, it's this and this. So like one of the things that you can look at is like with Eric, thinking about things like ways to connect PR and storytelling, like the stuff he was talking about with historical fiction, about creating histories as they're happening. And there's a way for him to start thinking about his sweet spot being that kind of storytelling in an organization or about an organization. So the challenge that I had for him was put together multiple things because I think, are you all familiar if I said the phrase target market and niche, what I'm talking about there? Who is not familiar with that term? I don't see anything. I'm going to go ahead and answer the question anyway, because what you're doing is multiple things all at the same time. What you're doing is you're taking a look at what your skill set is, where that skill set may be able to be applicable, and you're taking a look at specific niche areas of application of that skill set. Like for me, what I deal with is dysfunctional management teams. I deal with, what I say to people is that I teach executive management teams how to fight in the sandbox nicely. And but what I do is I'm an executive coach, and my training is in business and in psychology. So there's a way to put all of that stuff together, and I do that in and around people with technology. So you can see all the ands in there. that it's psychology and social psychology and conflict resolution, because I'm a trained mediator as well, and a specific target market, which is technology, and then the niche area is about conflict. So as you're thinking about putting together your 3 networks, and thinking about what it is that you're going to tell people about how it is that you want them to help you, then you need to start thinking about, like, here's the sweet spot, here's my secret sauce. This is the thing that in the student organizations that you're in right now that people count on you for. And if you go around and ask people that kind of question, what do you count on me for, then you'll start to hear what your niche is. You'll start to hear a little bit about what that thing is that you can offer that really makes a difference. So why don't you spend a couple of minutes, like I'm going to have you do a paired share with just whoever's sitting next to you, and talk a little bit about what kinds of things that you think that you can offer to an organization that would really make a difference with them. And it's not like their attitude or character or whatever. Like, people say that that they count on me to help them bring things down to brass tacks really quickly. And like I did with Eric and with some of the other folks that I've talked with, is help them see ways to put things together in new ways, right? So I'm going to give you a couple of minutes to sit with each other and just start asking that question back and forth with each other about, like, okay, what is it I can start telling people that folks can count on me for, where I make a difference? So let me give you a couple of minutes to do that. While you're doing that, I'm going to give Lori a call, and we're going to come back in about 2 minutes. Going to do a double check here. Hi, Lori.
Hey there, how are you?
Not too bad. I'm just checking to make sure. Hold on, let me put my mic on mute here. Checking to make sure that the way that I've got this set up is actually working for those students. I can't tell.
So they can see and hear you.
Okay.
Perfectly fine. We think if you send the invitation directly to Eric, that he will be able to video in. So they can all, I believe they can all type questions into you. They just, for whatever reason, you just can't see it. So I can see you. I went in through my phone and I can see you. Go ahead.
Okay. Is this going to work, or should we try something else?
No, I think it'll be fine.
Okay.
I think it'll be fine. I mean, it'll be, whatever, because they're coming in that way rather than by voice. So I think if you send it here, they may be able to come in by voice after all.
Okay. Now I just sent him an invitation, and I've sent him invitations before, so there's something that's going on where he's not getting them, and I sent it to him directly through the Google Hangout. So I'm not sure what else I need to do. He sent me a note back in the chat area for the Hangout. So
yeah, so that it may just have them function that way.
Okay. All right. So what I need to have him do is ask people questions and then type them in for me.
Right.
Okay. And then we'll just go from there. Okay.
Yep.
Or have him call me.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. If you would, are you there with him? Terrific. Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay.
All right, and I'm just going to put him on speakerphone. Okay, and tell him to call in on the conference call bridge line because somebody else may want to sign on as well.
Okay, now will you know what number that is?
I've been sending it out. Yeah, answer questions. Or I'm going to post it in the chat, in the Q&A, and that way he can see it.
Okay, I will let him know right now.
Thank you.
Okay.
Bye. Okay, Eric. What we're going to do is I'm going to have you call a conference call bridge line so I can hear the people in the room, and so that you can pass the phone back and forth and ask me questions, because I really want to hear you folks. We're doing some stuff with new technology, so really bear with me here, because yikes. All right, last time it was a snowstorm, so this time it's going to be something even better. All right. The conference call bridge line, Eric, that I want you to sign in on is 605 475 4350, and the bridge line number is 244 811. There we go. Okay, yeah, so 605 475 4350, conference call code 244811, and then put a pound at the end of it. Hi, this is Lalita. Hi, Eric. Hi, how are you? I am well. We've got this technology challenge going here, so we're going to make this work. I know. We're going to make this work. We're going to skip the conference call bridge line, and we're just going to talk. So when people ask people, or can you put me on speakerphone from your phone? Hi, everybody. So when you all were thinking about what it is that you do, or that you can offer in an organization that could really make a difference, what kind of things did you come up with? All right, can they hear me? Hi! This is just like the goofiest technology thing we've got going here. My gosh. But we're going to make it work. The thing I was talking about is, is how it is that what are you going to be known for, at least going out of the starting block, right? Like, what are you going to be known for? And like the thing that I'm known for is teaching management teams how to fight fair, but how to have really good arguments. Because a lot of times what ends up happening with them is they don't know how to argue. So they get very positional and they don't get down to brass tacks. So, or it gets very personal, or it gets, or they don't talk at all. And with management teams, people tend to cycle out of management teams pretty quickly these days, sometimes as frequently as 18 months to 3 years. So it's really important that they can get in, solve problems really quickly, and then move on, because in a lot of cases, folks aren't going to be there that long, or the company's in a lot of turmoil. So I've gotten to be known as the person who gets in there and helps people, like playground rules. So, so when you're thinking about like what it is that you want to do in your career, at least starting out, the place to look about what your niche area may be, that thing that you sell, that thing that you talk to people about, like this is why you want me, is going to be mostly the things that your project teams and in your classes, your classmates count on. It's going to be things that your academic advisor counts on. It's going to be things that like Lori and Chris count on, or that Eric counts on. It could be things that like in student organizations that you're in, that people just know that this thing just gets taken care of because Eric's in the room, or this thing gets taken care of because Elena's in the room. So what kinds of things are you known for getting taken care of just because you're in the room? Eric, point to somebody, hand them the phone, and have them talk to me. Uh-oh. Hi. So what kinds of things do people count on you for? On what? Yeah, what do they count on you for? It's that kind of stuff, but it's the thing is, right now, as a new college graduate, you folks are kind of commodities right now. There are a lot of people coming out with PR degrees. There are a lot of people coming out with English degrees. There are a lot of people coming out with the degrees that you have. You understand what I mean? So what I'm asking you to consider is that there may be something about the degree that you have and who you are with that degree that people will want to hire you for. And that you're going to have to start saying like, hey, look, I'm really good at conflict resolution. I'm really good at conflict. I'm really, really good at pulling apart core issues to find the stuff that that we really need to talk about in the organization. So, I would go in and talk about that. This is what I'm good at. This is what you can really count on me for. Because right now with my profession, I'm a bit of a commodity too. There are all kinds of people that are coaches, all kinds of people who own management consulting firms, all kinds of people. And the question that they ask me is, what makes you different than everybody else that, that's come by with a business card or brochure? And that's what I'm trying to get you all to start thinking about answering, so that when you go to meet when you go to meet alums, when you're in GS 300, when you're at a networking event like GS 300 is a networking event, just so we're really clear about that, that you can say, this is my degree, here's the industry that I'm looking at, here's the kind of job that I'm interested in, and this is why you should hire me. And things like integrity and character, that's, you would hope that would be a given, but if you said something like that I'm the one with integrity when everybody else is running for the hills, I don't know what that would be, but it would be something that you say about like, this is a specific thing about me that you can count on, and this is why you want to hire me. And it's not things like I'm a hard worker, because everybody's a hard worker, but it's something about you particularly, just particularly, that people really count on. And if you go to your support network, they can tell you what it is. And if you ask 5 people in your support network, they will tell you. And it's not like I'm cheerful and I'm reverent, thrifty, and kind. I think that's the Boy Scout motto or whatever. But it's something really specific to you that's really important that they count on. So thinking about it like that, what do you speculate on that people might say that they count on you for?
I would probably based off of my experiences, and I would think different than everyone else. It's like what I've done. So, I guess I would say I want to say like, oh, my talent or something.
Yeah.
I would say like what I did is that
Nice. Okay. So let me see if I've got that. Like that you can take skills and experiences you've had in one area and use them in another area.
Right. Because I think that would make it
Yeah. What try this on and see if this makes sense. Do you know the term lateral thinking? Do you know the term lateral thinking? I think that's what you're talking about. I think that's what you're saying that you do. What people that are good lateral thinkers are, and this may not be you, but what good lateral thinkers are is they can take information and experiences in one area and they can think their way through and find applications of that in other places. Or these are the people who see through a problem to other applications in other areas. Does that sound like you? It's kind of an awesome quality to have. Yeah. So find out a little bit more about the term lateral thinking. While you're looking it up, you might actually find what this term is that I'm looking for you. But if you're cross-platform application, that might be a phrase that you might want to use. I'm really good at taking plumbing the depths of one experience in one area and finding the applications of it in other places. So you could say something like that might be something that people count on you for. Do you see what I'm talking about? Yeah. But that's how I want you to start thinking about this, because when people are coming in, people are trying to figure out not just why do I want to hire you, it's why do I want to spend the next 5 minutes of my life talking to you. Okay. So when you're talking to folks, that's what you want to start figuring out, like answers to those questions. What is it that I want to at least try doing? Where do I want to try doing it? In what industry or industries do I want to try doing it? And what is it that I'm going to contribute that's going to make a difference to the organization that they're going to care about, right? So try that. Like if you're a good lateral thinker, or if you're really good at cross-platform applications of finding solutions in one area and then figuring out ways to apply those in other areas, then that's somebody who can actually create a lot of cost savings in an organization, so they don't have to figure out solutions every place, that they can use you to go in and find how to apply a solution from one place to another place or another problem with another team or another group. Does that make sense? Yeah, but try that on. And I'm not saying that that's you. I'm just saying, like, as an example, just be thinking about it that way. Make sense? Okay. Yeah, try that. Who else has a question for me? Who has a question? Is everybody like struck with a case of the shies right now? Where is everybody? Who's got my questions? Hi. Hi. Hey, how are you? I do remember you. Hi. I'm well, thank you. So you do. Can't wait. I can't wait. So when you, yeah, go ahead. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. The question that he's asking for folks that are not in the room, there are several people that are not in the room, but what he's asking is, like if the idea of networking is that you're looking for mutual benefit. I don't have a whole lot in my bucket right now. I don't think I do. So what is it that, how do I make this relationship mutual? And that is a really good question. Now, here's the thing. If you ask people, what's going on in your life, and you listen and be curious, then you can help them in a whole lot of ways. Like, I remember there was one gentleman that I was talking with. It was a long, long time ago, and he had a particular area of interest. And what I ended up doing is every time I read the newspaper, particularly online, if I saw that there was something, an article about stuff that he was interested in, I just clicked the article and sent it to him. So it's really easy, the kinds of things that you can do. It doesn't have to be really complicated. And it doesn't have to be very expensive, and it just needs to be meaningful. And if when you're talking to the people in your network, you're really clear about what kind of areas that they might need help and what's going on in their lives, then there are things that you can do with them or for them that could really make a difference. You just need to know what those things are. It doesn't have to be all that deep. Does that make sense? So why don't you ask the question, so where am I in your network? Cool. Yeah, you could say information and support. Sure. So why don't you ask me how you can help me? Yeah, that's a really great question. Something that would really be meaningful to me is for you to join the Purdue Alumni Association immediately and continue to give back to Purdue that way. That would make a real big difference for me. It's something that I'm really, really interested in. It is. It's something I'm really interested in. I mean, we just went to it's called the Boilermaker Ball. They have, when you become an alum, people throw parties, and then they throw booze at you, and it's really great. So, and they're legit parties, and nobody's going to come and bust them. It's really awesome. So, but I'd like to see more people under 30 at those events. I'd really like that, right? Because it would let me know that that an aspect of my university was really pretty healthy. So that's something that would really make a difference for me, is making sure that people signed up to the Purdue Alumni Association. That's something that's important to me. The other thing that could help me is, what I'm looking for is like articles and information about executive coaching. Like if in your travels you hear something interesting about a trend in coaching, executives, or trends in technology, if you could just send me a link to it, that would be awesome. Yeah, that it's doable, and you can do any of that or none of that. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. So it's something to really kind of like think your way through. How can I, just asking the question. Don't be afraid about that they're going to ask you for something that you can't give them, but just ask the question and see. And really, if you know that person, then they'll tell you. Like for GS 300, at the beginning of each class session, the alums are introduced, and they tell you all kinds of stuff about themselves, or somebody does. And in that, they'll tell you all kinds of things where they might appreciate help. You find about what their hobbies are, about where they live, about their industry interests, about their school interests, all kinds of things. And so you can find in just that little 3-minute introduction that they do for each alumni, for example, at GS 300, You can find out all kinds of information that you can use to figure out ways that you can help that person. And then just gift them with something, like send them a clipping, or send them something like a, like if they're doing a $5 coupon for a drink at Harry's Chocolate Shop, send them that in the mail. 6309 Knighton Road, Indianapolis. Get the picture? So there's all kinds of things that you can do, and the idea is about mutuality. Is the more mutual the relationship is, the more likely it is to go deeper, and for people to be able to do more and more things to help you. Okay. Good question. All right. You're welcome. And wait a minute. What happened with your with a game that you were playing about writing down every day? The little journal thing. What happened with that? Yeah. I would love to see it. Did you and would you send that to me? Because I'm really looking forward to I'm really looking forward to seeing that. Did you notice anything from doing that you want to share, or do you want to think about a little bit more? Terrific. Terrific. I'm looking forward to getting that. Yeah. All right. And that's for everybody else too. If you find yourself stuck a little bit about your career, if you just you can even start a text message thread to yourself and just write a text message worth of stuff every day about loved this in class, hated this, love the idea of working in San Francisco, hate the idea of working in snow. I mean, just do that kind of stuff. And after a while, you're going to triangulate on where you want to work, what kind of work you want to do, what kind of people you want to work with or don't want to work with. And it'll get closer and closer to you. I mean, do you understand what I mean? So that's something that I want you, anybody who's stuck a little bit, just start writing just a bullet point a day. I mean, it doesn't have to be a lot. Okay. Other questions that you have, particularly around, I meet an alum on campus, or I'm sitting at a lunch or a dinner with an alum because we've got a lot of awards. Award season is coming up. Or I'm at GS 300 and I don't know what to say. Anybody there? Who's not sure? What do I talk about? I don't want to look stupid, so I'm afraid I'm just not going to say anything at all. Are you all thinking? Hiding? I can't see you, so. Questions about what to do at a networking event. You meet an alum on campus, you're at GS 300, you're at a lunch, a coffee, or dinner, at an awards banquet, and I don't know what to talk about. Would anybody like me to answer that question? Would that help? Or do you need for me to ask a different question? Would you like me to go ahead and answer that? Hi. Oh, hi, sweetie. How are you? Did it get any better? Excellent. That's excellent. All right. No, it's excellent. This is for the other person that signed in. This is Jenny, who I talked to last time, and she didn't know anything about anything. She was like a perfect blank slate. Awesome. All right. So remind me about what you were getting your degree in. PR and communications. Okay. And then what is it that you know about your career? Like all the things that you know about your career search so far. What do you know? Yeah. Okay. Okay. Now I caught part of that. It was like there was something about diversity and religion. Is that it? Okay. So but in PR now, when you say public relations, it is really, really, really big, right? Like that area is really, really like if I say psychology, that's really big. I mean, it includes everything from forensic psychology to child psychology and criminal psychology. So when you're talking about public relations, is there a specific area or a couple of areas that are really interesting to you? Okay. So social media, copywriting, and editing. You know, something that I think I saw this term was a long about last year, but I saw it like in passing, and it was micro copywriting. Has anybody heard that term? Yeah, micro copywriting. Most of the time when people think about writing copy, they're thinking about writing large scale ad copy, right? Like large scale copy. But what people have not quite figured out yet with social media, electronic social media, particularly on these small platforms like Twitter and Pinterest and all these things like that, is what are the messages that actually stick in those at the small scale. Now people are really good at like what do you have to what kind of ad copy do you have to have, or what kind of messaging do you have to have on like everything from like a billboard and things like that, but they're not really clear about like what kind of messaging that you need to have when the message is only this big, right? So think about something like that, like being looking for I think it's called micro copywriting. I think that's what it's called. I'll keep on the lookout for it. But that might be something that you just say, I'm really expert at tiny, tiny messages, right? Tiny, tiny messages. And because I'm wondering, like with, you know, it went from emails to blog posts and then straight down to Twitter and that level of messaging, that maybe the thing that you need to think about is how to say something like, I'm really good at tiny messaging, like messages that stick but are small, like small and sticky. That might be your thing that you say. Now, the thing about religion and diversity, talk to me a little bit more about that. But you know, the thing is like, no, but you know, the thing is like, if you said, you know, like religion and diversity, it may be that you want to do something around corporate communication in a religious hospital, right? That does things around diversity. The other thing that you might want to take a look at in combining some of the things that you're talking about is an area called corporate social responsibility. Does that sound familiar to anybody? Yeah, that's something that you really should look at, because that's where organizations get to express their mission in the community in a really different way. Like Starbucks, corporate social responsibility groups are dealing with things. It's excellent. It really is. It's excellent. Like in the next two, uh, are they your corporate crush? Kind of, but for everybody else, um, show of hands, and Eric, you count for me. How many people have not heard the term corporate social responsibility? Hands up. And Eric, just give me a sense about whether or not it's a few people or a lot of people. About half? Okay, so here's the thing. Like, remember I was talking about it, that your career is not necessarily either or, but it's and. If you take a look at the industry and the community and what your skill set, your job is, and then your niche area, your specialty area, that's a whole lot of different things that you can all put together at one time. Like for you, you're talking about issues of diversity and religion, like the expression of, you know, how do you make all these things all work together? And then about you know, public relations and all of that, corporate social responsibility, that may be an area for you to take a look at, because there you can do things like the one company that I was following, it was a company that did carpets, like large scale carpet production, like specialty carpets. And they were in, I think it was in India or Bangladesh. And what they had said was, the company had initially said, we don't want to use child labor. So then they cut all the kids out of the workplace in this country. And then the community started to they started to really suffer, because they were counting on the income that the children were generating to help the families survive, right? Because these folks were way below subsistence level. I mean, it was at survival level. But the company, the corporate social responsibility people, came in and said, okay, let's see what all of the competing interests are. And it's like, we don't want to abuse children in the workplace, and we want children to be able to go to school and all of that, and we want to make sure that the children get fed. So what they did was they kept the children in the workplace for, I think it was either 6 or 8 hours a day, but the first 4 hours they were in school. Like half the kids came to school, came to work, and had breakfast, and then one half of them went to work, the other half of them went to school. And then at lunch, they all had lunch. And then the next half of the day, then they split it the other way, where the kids who were in school in the morning were working in the afternoon, and vice versa with the other group. So they figured out a way to have everything work. But that was the corporate social responsibility group. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And so like with Starbucks, the corporate social responsibility group, those are the folks that heard people talking about how ridiculous it was that Starbucks didn't recycle all the plastic milk jugs and all of that other stuff. So now this group has come back and said, we figured out a way to have this be a social mandate within the company that drove back through and altered corporate policy. So by, I think it's 2017, 2018, every Starbucks everywhere is going to be fully recycling. So when you take a look at corporate social responsibility, hold on a second if I can find, there is a governing board. If you go to, I think it's Wikipedia. Hold on a second. I'm going to see if I can find it, and then I'm going to send you a link to it. Well, I'm going to do it right now. Corporate social responsibility, because in that entry for Wikipedia, it talked a lot about references that you can find for corporate social responsibility programs, books, resources, magazine, extra links, the Foundation for Corporate Social Responsibility. Hold on a second, let me find that. Because there is a place where they keep track of all of these companies that have corporate social responsibility programs, and I found it. It's the Foundation for Corporate Social Responsibility, and I'm going to post that on la 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 la. Do I know what I'm doing? No. But has that ever stopped me? No. Okay, there it is. I'm just posting a link, and you can see it in the group chat area. It's fcsr.pl. It's a Foundation for Corporate Social Responsibility Programs. And if you look there, it'll tell you like who are the people that are perfect. Do you see it in your group chat? It's just a link. All right, hold on a second. Hold on. Let's see if there's some other place that I can post it. Oh, rats. Okay, let me just, it's really short. Let me just give it to you again. It is F as in Frank, C as in cat, S as in Sam, R as in responsibility, dot P, yeah, FCSR dot PL. Yeah, and take a look there, because it'll start to give you what you're looking for is the kind of language that people are using, and it will let you know who's out there trying to get some things done, right, with corporate social responsibility programs. And what you can do, like, because this one's international, includes things like the Weston, different banks, privileges. Yeah, it's got all kinds of stuff in there. So look there, and another place for you to look, and this is like the ethical CSR Times. It's Corporate Social Responsibility News Portal. And hold on a second, let me give you, oh, this is easy. CSR, like Corporate Social Responsibility, csrtimes.com. And it's an online newspaper that just talks about who's doing what all over the world. Yeah, csrtimes.com. So take a look at that, because there are nonprofits, there are for-profit companies, educational institutes, all kinds of people are out there looking at ways to have, it's almost like the nonprofit expression of a corporation within a for-profit company. So be thinking about that, right? So that should help you a little bit too. You're welcome. So you stay in contact with me, because I want you to do the 30-day challenge with text messaging to yourself, so that you can start to hear yourself. Oh, you did? Are you going to send it to me? Awesome. LLAMOS at totalteamsolutions.com. You all have it? Yeah, send it to me because I want to see it. And let's set up a Saturday morning to talk. And it won't be hideously early because I think I almost killed Eric. I think we talked at like 9, and I thought he was going to die. He did. He looked, yeah, Eric, seriously. All right. So everybody else, like the thing about corporate social responsibility, if you find yourself stuck, like I want to do this, but it sounds a little bit nonprofity, but I want to do it in this kind of industry, and that sounds a little bit corporate, then what you're looking at might actually be corporate social responsibility programming, like an initiative that I had worked on at my company where I used to work. This is years ago. Was we found that we weren't able to hire enough people that could pass the basic reading test to get into the company. I mean, because you had to be able to read the book of instructions for making books and to manage the equipment and to deal with all the safety stuff. So what we did when we looked at and realized that the literacy rate in the county that we were operating in was so low, it was surprising us, that we partnered with the 3 school systems and with the local university to create an adult reading program. And so the people that were in the adult reading program, when they completed that program, they came to us with their certificate that said that they completed it, particularly people that had already taken the reading test once and failed it, then it would let them come in to take the test again. So that's something that we did that increased the literacy rates through the community, and that we found that after a while, those people's kids started staying in school at a higher rate. So that's another example of a corporate social responsibility initiative that was great for the company, but it was also great for the community and it was great for the people. So be thinking about stuff like that. And for you, Miss, that was just talking about like religion and diversity and things like that, it's probably a corporate social responsibility initiative that either is already existing and ongoing within a company or that you could go in and create. Awesome. Who else has a question for me? Let's try this. Oh, who is this? Hi. We did. We did. Hi, Demetrio. What's your question? Okay, so tell me, like, start at the beginning. You are studying. Were you one of the million people in and around PR? Oh, history and philosophy. Oh, that's right. Okay, history and philosophy. Specific area of history. Specific area of philosophy. Okay, so Latin history. Terrific. The person that you want to talk with when he comes back to the university is Tom. Oh my gosh, what's Tom's last name? Tom Schott? What is Tom's last name? Hold on a second. Give me just a second. Because he's an alum that's contributed pretty magnificently to the university. And he also has got his degree in philosophy, and he's somebody that I want you to try to track down. Talk Tom Scholl, Scholl. But yeah, he's a philosopher, and he went to work in the corporate sector and made a stupid amount of money and is making a stupid amount of difference. So talk with Lori and Chris and tell them that if it's appropriate, if they would help you facilitate an introduction between you and Tom Scholl, Scholl. He's on the Deeds Advisory Council, so he's going to be coming back in April, I think like April 17th. Now, I don't know what area of philosophy that he was in, but you know, he's contributed to the philosophy department. He absolutely loved the work that he did there at Purdue. So you want to make sure that you connect back up with him, just so that you do. Just make sure you connect up with Tom, and you like him because he's a great guy. Okay. So what else? So tell me some more about what's going on. Gotcha. What I want you to do, you know, there may be some steps in between there. There's a gentleman that I want you to meet, and I think I was trying to remember to say this to you last time we were together. There's a friend of mine named Don Murphy here in Indianapolis, and he's an attorney who also has a master's degree in organizational development, which is a lot of like training and development in companies. And what he does is he trains all the public defenders in the state of Indiana, right? So he kind of knows everybody. So send me a note with a reminder, and I'll create a two-way introduction between you and Don. And what I want you to do when you get a chance to talk with Don on the phone, he's very cerebral. Oh my God, you'll love him. But ask him what areas of training do you think that you wish that people had before they came out, so that you didn't have to train them to do this as public defenders. Ask them a question like that. Like, what is it that I need to train myself in so that I'm really good at being a public defender? Now, you do know that public defenders, there's also corporate law firms, they're also have as a corporate social responsibility program, a lot of law firms have people donate a certain number of hours for their law firm as public defenders as well. So yeah, so talk with him about that too, and that there's a kind of public defender. It's not the kind of public defender that's really kind of mandated by law and public policy, but there's a group of public defenders out there that support people in civil cases and not just criminal cases. So there's a lot of stuff going on. So you and I need to get you connected to Don Murphy so that you can get a little bit more information from him. Would that help? Great. And like 15 minutes. Just like, Don, I need 10 or 15 minutes. You know, and then like one of the questions you want to ask him is, what's the question that I'm not asking that you wish that I'd asked? Right? Because you won't know the question to ask, right? Because you're still out there looking for information. Tell him that you don't know what that question is. You know, what's the thing that I don't know that I don't know? Okay? Would you do that for me? Great. So send me an email. Would you do that tonight so that I can so that I don't have to look for it like later on this week? And then I can send then I'll send that email back and forth between you and Don, and you all can start talking a bit. Okay? Thank you. Is that helping? Yeah. Great. All right. So here's my question. It's been right at an hour, even though we've had technology problems and whatnot. Who here is like, I'm not solid yet on what kinds of questions or what kinds of things that I can and can't say if I meet them on campus, or I'm at a and I'm at an event. Who here is not quite sure, like, what do I say? Yeah, no, like you're at GS 300 and they say, come and have coffee with me. And it's like, okay, great, but I don't know what to say.
Yeah, so what would you do?
There you go. The thing is, it's like right now, if you know what's a little bit about what's going on with your career, then you can talk a little bit about that. Generally speaking, what you want to do is you want to ask more questions than you answer. I mean, you want to talk a little bit more than not. And you can ask things like, because you're looking for information from people. What did you major in? What kinds of classes did you take that you thought were the most useful? What civic organizations or extracurricular organizations were you in? Tell me about what you're doing now that you really love. You know, is there something that you didn't know when you were a student that you wish you knew now? So you can ask questions like that. And you can also say, can you listen for a gap for me? And say, you know, this is what I want to do. Like, you know, I'm interested in religion and diversity and corporate social responsibility programs in large nonprofit hospitals in the Midwest. And, you know, this is what I'm about, but what is it that where do you think I could look next? And who do you know who might have an interest in a student who has all of that as a package? Like, who do you know? Not do you know anybody? Because that's a yes, no answer. And as soon as the answer is no, they stop thinking about you. But if you say, who do you know that I might want to talk to next, or that I can ask for a key piece of information with next, or, you know, that you think is somebody that I should connect up with, you know, to ask one question, you know, to take like 10 or 15 minutes and ask one question. Who do you think that I might need to talk to next, right? So you can ask those kinds of questions. Now, if you're clear about, if you know that your information network is really well developed and you don't need a lot more information because you really know what you're about, then don't ask information questions. If you know that your support network is really tight, then don't ask for support. If what you're looking for is like, I need somebody to make a connection for me. And if you say like, I need to get into like the corporate social responsibility programs of large hospitals and folks that work in and around biotech, who do you know who can help me make that kind of connection? Then you're asking for a referral. And then you start asking questions like, you know, I know you don't really know me or trust me yet, but I'd like to develop our relationship a bit. Could I sit down and have a coffee with you and talk a little bit more about not just what I'm about, but also what you're about, and who are my networks that I might be able to connect you with, at least if nothing else for information. So that's something that you can do. Does that make sense? Did you get all that? Yeah, but you can ask questions, but like if you know that like I have some gaps in my information network, then you can ask them about that information. It's like, hey, look, I've got, you know, these 2 or 3 things that I'm interested in, and I'm trying to figure out between target market, niche, industry, service area, blah blah blah, how they come together. Can we talk a little bit about how these things might come together in a different way than I've thought of? You know, what might you do with that combination of skills and education that maybe I haven't thought about? So you can ask people things like that too. Does that make sense? Yeah. So ask questions, and particularly now as you ask those kinds of questions, people will get more and more curious about you, and we'll start asking you questions about you know, well, here's what I see that you might be able to do. Have you thought about this? And you know, like with me, hey, look, let me connect you to Don, and, have them connect you to Tom, and, stuff like that. And that's only because we had one other conversation. And that what I'm doing is I believe that you're credible to me because you're credible to Lori and Chris. And that's why, you know what I'm saying? See how that works. So it doesn't take a whole lot. It's just that you need to make sure that your credibility is anchored somewhere, either by helping people or by how you contribute, or who the people are who believe in you. And that's when you take a look at the people that are in your network. Make sure you include your professors in your networks. Please make sure you do that. I cannot tell you how embarrassed I was when I realized, 15 years later, what one of my professors in 1980 had been trying to drum into my head. I'm like, oh crap, is that what he was talking about? So I got on the phone and I called and left a voicemail for this man, and then found him again years later to say, thanks, God, this is what you were talking about. It's so stupid. Anyway, but just make sure that you're constantly connecting with your professors. They know people, whether you think they do or not. They know lots of people, and they know lots of people who have lots of information that can really, really help you, not just now, but in the future as you advance through your career. So make sure you do that. In parting, make sure that you are really familiar with that salary.com. Make sure you really, really know how that thing works. I think, Eric, I talked you through how it worked a little bit. You need to make really, really sure that you know how that works, because between salary.com and ONET, that's the kind of language that you're gonna be looking for, like keywords, short phrases, kind of boggle words that you see over and over again in job ads through salary.com, because it's going to tell you the language that you need to use. Like the language that I use is things like succession planning and return on expectation and return on investment. Like you'll learn the language that's used in the career area that you want to get into by looking at things like ONET and salary.com, so you can make sure that you pepper your cover letters and your resumes with that kind of information. What I talked with Eric and Catherine about, I think Catherine LaBelle, about was making sure that your cover letter is smart. And I sent Eric a couple of samples of cover letters. Make sure that he points those out to you as well. The cover letter is really, really simple boilerplate. It's the thing that talks for you before people decide whether or not to put your resume in a pile or not. And it's really simple what's supposed to be in there, what's not supposed to be in there. But your cover letter will help you. But if you use the right combination of words and phrases that you got from looking at ONET and salary.com and listening to people in your network, particularly information network, that will tell you use this kind of terminology when you talk about what you do. Like that's why with the first woman I was talking to, I was asking her, does lateral thinking, does that resonate for you? Because that may be some of the language that you might want to use depending on what it is that you want to do. So make sure that you use that kind of language in there. When you meet with alums, if you have an opportunity to have coffee with an alum, you can tell them, hey, look, how I've got my career search divided up is in 3 different big buckets. One is the information bucket, and another bucket is my support bucket. Those are the people that can keep me on track and keep me on the path, and that keep pushing me to look in different areas and things like that. And then the other one is my helper bee bucket, my referral bucket, people who can connect me with other people, or people who might be willing to hand carry my resume, or may be able to give me a job themselves directly. I'm not going to assume that you're in that last bucket, because you'd really have to know me and trust me to put me in that bucket right away. So I'm not going to ask for that. So what I can ask you for is I can ask you for information. And if you wouldn't be adverse to it, I'd like to send you an email every once in a while just to let you know where I'm at in my job search and what I'm looking for. And maybe if in that email you see a little bit of information that I'm missing, I wouldn't mind it at all if you just shot me back a link to something that you think I might want to take a look at. That's something you could do that's really, really easy, and that you can have a timely relationship with people. The thing you don't want to do when alums come to campus is you don't want to wait until you figured out what you're going to say. You look at my face. I'm giving you that look. Let me wait until I figured out what I want to talk about before I have a conversation with somebody who's only going to be on campus. Don't do that. Even if you send a note off to an alum that just said, hey, I met you at this event. It was great talking with you. Thank you for coming, period. And then in another 3 or 4 weeks, say, hey, look, you were just talking about this, and I just saw this when I was reading the news, and I thought I would send you this link. And then you've got like what you want to do is just keep reaching out and touching gently without asking for a whole lot. That's something that you can do to stay what's called top of mind and have top of mind awareness with an alum. But when you do an interview, when you actually get to sit down and talk with somebody, immediately, like that next thing that you do when you leave is you send a thank you note. Like, thank you for spending the time talking to me about my career. Like, thank you very much. And then if at all humanly possible, print it out, sign it, put another copy of your resume in it, and mail it and do it that night. And you should do that for every job interview that you have, because you're always wanting to maintain top of mind awareness. Emails don't do that because emails are in people's to-do list. Emails occur for people differently than physical mail does. They just do, because people are so inundated. I get sometimes 150, 160 emails a day, just a day. So if you send me another email, I'll be like, oh dear God. But if you send me a letter, I get so few of those, particularly if the envelope is handwritten, then I'll get that out and I'll take a look at that first, because it looks a whole lot less like mass-produced junk mail. So that's like a tip that you can try, right? Very neatly. If you don't have neat handwriting, then go ahead and print that out. But that's something for you to kind of consider. Ask people, what is it that you count on me for, and be listening. And the things that they say that they count on you for, if you go back to ONET and salary.com, you can translate that thing that people said about you into the language of the career that you're interested in, right? Like, I'm interested in whatever, that sounds a little bit like a soft skill, but you can find that in the job descriptions in ONET and salary.com, and then translate it from the things that maybe your mom and your dad and the people at your church say that they count on you for, to a language that people who are hiring managers can actually immediately understand and immediately apply. Do you understand what I mean? Yeah. Perfect. So please do that, and I think that that's going to help you out a little bit. Any other burning questions before we sign off? Yeah, but for everybody, really keep a journal about what it is that you're looking for. Write down things that people say. Like you have a class notebook that just has all the stuff for one class in it. Do you know what I mean? Have one notebook just for everything having to do with your job search. Like you wouldn't put chemistry notes in with a philosophy class notes. You wouldn't put that all together in one notebook. Keep a separate notebook just for the stuff for your job search. The things like you see on TV that you're interested in, things, the industries that you're interested in, do that and see if that helps you out of it. Like, see if that helps, because what you'll notice as you go back and take a look, and I'll tell you this because I'm doing a similar kind of thing when I think about my company, and here's some new mega trends in my company, here's some new trends in executive leadership and in thoughts on coaching and on executive management, and here's some things that I'm seeing in the news about failures in executive management, things like that. I'm keeping notes about that stuff too. So it's not like I'm asking you to do something that other people aren't doing as well. So I'm doing that so that I can go back and highlight themes that I'm finding over and over again, so that I can keep upping my message And so that I know in particular industries, particularly in biotech, life sciences, and technology, so I can go back into them and say, I know what hurts because I've been hearing about it on the news, and I've been reading about it in the paper, and I've been keeping notes about it and going back and looking for it and asking people in my information network, what else can you tell me about this particular type of management failure? It's called executive career derailment. It's actually got a term that you can go and find that information for me about. Then there's something that I can do because I've been keeping notes. So keep a notebook, like a physical notebook. It should help you quite a bit to figure out what's going on and to be able to tell people in your job search networks what's happening and how they can help you. Okay? Yeah? Awesome. Everybody, I'm going to take off here and let you continue with me. You're welcome. And if anybody wants to have coffee with me some Saturday morning, like at Hideous Dark 30, you're welcome to do that. But yeah, give me a call, let me know, or send me an email or a text and let me know what's happening. And, I really, really appreciate getting the chance to talk with you folks again. I apologize about all the technology stuff that we had to figure out to make this thing work. This was like nuts. But I'm glad we did it. I'm glad we made it work the way that we did. And I hope you all found value out of it and that you can share it with other people that weren't able to connect in. Okay? So thanks again, and I will talk to you all soon. Bye.